Hey everybody, it's Never with a temporary avatar here so as not to give away what I'm going to talk about in this video. So, I want to tell you a sort of condensed version of how I came to the decision of where to make my new online gaming home. Now, I know I had a picture of Deathwing and Heroes of the Storm last time, but I mean, I enjoy that and I really do love playing Deathwing, but I'm terrible at it, and that I can't make something that repetitive a mainstay in my time that I spend gaming. So, what I tend to do with things like this is to make a pros and cons list and to use the powers of deduction to eliminate possibilities until the one true answer remains. However, that is not always easy or effective, as people who are like me and do that too much can attest. But this is the story of how I came to my decision. So when I decided that I was done with World of Warcraft, there was a whole lot of other things going around, and I began trying other things, and I came up with some candidates for, well, where do I go from here? And I had something of a relationship with each of those candidates. Guild Wars 2, for example, I had been playing off and on since beta, and I enjoy it, but I never really, I've never done a fractal. I've never done a raid. I've only done 2 dungeons ever, and the most intense, complicated thing I've done are map metas, and I got my sky scale. And so, and I'll play for a few months, and then I'll take a break for 2 years, and it's been like that the whole time. But I definitely enjoy the game, but does it have enough lasting power to be the main thing that I do when I've lost interest and moved on to other stuff so many times? The next candidate on the list was Final Fantasy XIV, which has gotten a ton of attention lately, and I've been trying it out, and there's a lot to like there. I'm really enjoying. I mean, and I'm even at the beginning of it. I think I'm about to hit level 35. And so I really haven't seen all that much of it, and I'm behind in the story for where I could be for my level because I got so interested in doing other things. And I got a chocobo, which I was very excited about. Not sure why, but I just like chocobos. And there's stuff that game has that no other game has, at least not to the extent or not as well as it does. There's a lot of draw there. And there's a lot of hope for the future because tons of people are migrating to it. The next one was Ashes of Creation, which is not there yet, but I've seen a lot of really interesting stuff about it, and it looks like it could be kind of the next evolutionary stage of MMOs. So that has a lot of interest. New World is something that I'd be foolish not to consider, just because of all of the hype for that and the possibilities with the way that it's being built up, and it being involved in something like that from the ground up is something that speaks very, very much to me, and I've had a lot of interest in. In fact, that's one of the things that kept me coming back to WoW so many times. Not many times, but when it did, is that I had so much investment, and I had things, I had achievements, I had items in my bank that were unobtainable, and so that felt like sort of some prestige or a badge of honor to me. And I mean, I have to admit, it's hard to let that go and to have it sort of dissolve into the ether. And that's a whole nother video, is the psychology of that aspect of things. Pyromancer summed it up really well in his Epic Gamer Rant video. I wouldn't say it the same way that he did, but I understand what he's saying and agree very much with it. Then there were 2 other options. One was SWTOR, Star Wars The Old Republic, and Elder Scrolls Online. And so I went through each of these and gradually removed them from the list for whatever reason. Some of them were very easy to remove, some of them were hard, and then I finally came down to a decision between 2 options, and then something kind of amazing happened that out of the blue that I didn't expect, that sort of solidified the decision for me. So the first one that I eliminated from the list was New World, because as interesting as it would be to be on the ground floor of something like that, people are going to science the crap out of that game, and I don't see balance being possible with something like that. I hope I'm wrong for all the people that are interested and really going for that, but it's not dice that I'm willing to roll and not time I'm willing to invest. The next one that came off the list was Star Wars: The Old Republic, and this mostly goes back to I beta tested that game. In fact, I was a Revanite, for those of you who know what that is. I've talked about this before, but the Revanites were a group of people selected from within the beta testing community when it was still closed beta, who were like super closed beta and got special access to things, had more long-term access, if I remember correctly, and we got on, it was either TeamSpeak or Vent at the time, talks, groups of us with the devs to go over stuff. And I remember this one particular call we were on with the devs, and we were talking to one of their lead devs named Georg, and if you've ever played Neverwinter Nights 2, Obsidian Studios, I think they're called Studios, they made Neverwinter Nights 2, and they're kind of like, they picked up the torch from BioWare, and Georg is a main guy at BioWare, and they actually named one of the NPCs in the starting area for Neverwinter Nights 2 after him, so fun little trivia there. But anyway, he was on the call. Really, really great guy, really insightful. He listened so well, but he had to come to the point where he indirectly sort of admitted that they were being rushed. They were not able to finish the game the way they wanted to in time. The companion system didn't work. It was nothing like what they wanted it to be, and they just kind of had to force it out the door. And that, plus the way that the game has evolved, there's a lot of really good things about it, but I remember noticing two things that were real big letdowns for me. One was all the water in SWTOR, at least for anything I've ever seen, all of the water is knee-deep. The ocean is knee-deep. Now, it's one of those things, I'm not a huge fan of underwater anything, but if it's not there, it's a problem. I'm not sure why, but that's kind of a necessary thing for me. The water has got to be like water. Like, if you can't swim in the game, it's a little, the world feels incomplete. Similarly, no day-night cycle. At least there wasn't when I played in beta, and anytime I've picked up the free version afterwards for a laugh. I guess a laugh isn't the right thing to say, but just, to very casually go about some of the story, which never gets very far. But no day-night cycle. Those are two things that are very important to me. I can't explain the first one, but the second one, day-night cycles are really important. I've made that clear about my feelings about Dark Nights and WoW. Anyway, so SWTOR was off the list. The next one to come off the list was Ashes of Creation. And mostly because, I kind of like New World, I just don't see myself having the time to invest into that game to the point that I would feel comfortable with how I'm interacting with it and with the value I'm getting out of it. Plus, it's not even out yet. It probably won't be out for a while. So that one, that one went. I was able to scrub Elder Scrolls Online from the list, even though there's a lot to like there. Anytime I would try it, I always kind of thought, you know what? I could just be playing Skyrim, which I can mod and is better. And yeah, it didn't have what I needed. And so then that left me with two options, Final Fantasy XIV or Guild Wars 2. And I've been playing both of them. I still am picking away both of them here and there. And then while I was on Guild Wars 2, a buddy of mine that I used to play some older games with, like 15 years ago, suddenly logged on, and it's the first time he'd been on in years, like 6 years or something. It was a long time. And I was like, are you coming back to this game? And he's like, yup, here I am, and I'm super excited to get things going, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to need help figuring all this out again and everything. And that sealed the deal. And so my new online gaming home primarily is going to be Guild Wars 2. I still intend to pick away at the very least at Final Fantasy XIV, and I would like to, by the recommendation of some people in comments, I would like to finish, obviously, A Realm Reborn, but then finish Heavensward. I really want to try a Dark Knight. That looks super cool to me. And then I'll see where I want to go from there, if I want to keep on going with it. If I don't mind having 2 games because I don't need to log into them every single day for an hour to keep up with things like with WoW. So that's where things are going. That's where I am. In the future, I intend to do some Guild Wars 2 content, obviously, and maybe some other stuff as well. But my thoughts are, for the content specifically, is to go over it from my perspective. My perspective with Guild Wars 2 is really just, I'm kind of like an ultra noob, the ultra casual. I've never really done anything impressive in that game, except that I know my class pretty well, and I know my way around the game's systems decently, and I know how to find information. And so I think that some guides or information on how to even get knowledge about Guild Wars 2. If you're just starting out and you're overwhelmed, and you very easily can be, what do you do to figure out what to do? I think that sort of a meta concept with the game could be useful for people. And then to just explain, here's what it has to offer in case you're looking for a new home. If you're a WoW refugee, and for any reason Final Fantasy XIV or any of the other options don't quite do what you need them to, then this would be the place that I would look. It's a very good time to get into it right now. I'll talk about this in the video as well, but I know that with an expansion coming up, they tend to run a lot of specials, and the game is buy to play. You buy the game and you're good. And it turns out that you can get the full game, everything up through the current expansion, except for the new expansion coming out next year, for like $15. Like, you make a free account, you spend $15 if you can get a good promo code, and then boom, you're good. You own the whole thing. It's awesome. The only exception to that is there's some story chapters that you'll need to purchase, but those often come on sale in chunks, or there's a thing going on, it's almost done, but there's a thing going on where you log in like once a week and you get one of the story chapters for free. So I'll talk about the whole buy-to-play economy and what that means and how that differs from a subscription model, because the game has to stay afloat. But there's a lot of good things to talk about, a lot of positive things to come. So I apologize for the super boring visual aspect of this video, and in the future there will be more interesting things to look at because I'll be doing stuff in game. Although I'm probably not going to go for a whole lot of fancy editing or anything like that, simply because the thought of doing that makes me not make videos, and I think it would be better to just get content out there rather than to try and make it super polished. I mean, I don't call them bad videos for nothing. Anyway, if you're still here 13 minutes later, thank you very much. And if you're still here after so long with no content from me and you enjoy what I put out at all, thank you very much. Seeing the fact that there's still like 2,000 something subscribers and that there's comments now and then and whatnot really does have a positive impact on me in my life, and it means a lot to me, and I appreciate it. So here's to the next chapter in online gaming for Never and all the friends, and I will get something out to you guys about Guild Wars 2 and what we're doing and my thoughts and some advice very soon. Okay, thanks, bye.